Hello everyone, it's Generation Z with you. Today, as always, it's me, Yaroslava Polinsky, Diane, and Karina. And today we want to talk with you about education, higher education, just schools, and about learning something new at all. So guys, my first question for you, what do you think about higher education? Is it important nowadays? What do you think about it? And basically, do you want to get your degree in university, or you think that it's not so important?
I think that hi everyone. I think that higher education is extremely important. Like for me personally, for 100%, because for me it's all about experience and broadening your knowledge. And I think that I definitely want to have my degree, at least bachelor's.
And you, Karina, what do you think?
In my opinion, it's 100% beneficial, but only if it's a conscious choice.
I personally don't really have strong opinion about that because on one point of view I think that of course higher education is really important because it's experience, because it's just 3 or 4 years in university, you have so many new friends, new mates and all that stuff. But on the other hand, I'm not sure that we really get modern new knowledges in universities, because it really depends on university, on college where do you study, on country where do you study. But as practice shows in most countries of the world, after university, first of all, if you don't have any practice or experience in job, it is really hard task for you to find a good job and start your career. And also actually most of students who graduated from universities, they have to learn something new to get job, because in general knowledges that they get are not fresh and not modern. So I don't, it's really hard question for me, and I can't give straight answer to that, but actually I would love to get higher education.
And guys, my question to you is, what's the best part of being a student for each of you? Like Corinne, what's the best thing about?
I think freedom. You're not anymore under the parental control, and you can make your own decisions, and it's liberating. And for you?
For me, I would say the same, but it also really depends on situation where do you study, because in Ukraine after 9th grade I decided to go to college, and still I'm doing part-time degree there in law, in Ukrainian law. So when I was studying there full-time, I was living with my parents, and actually I would say that not a lot of things changed, just classes, field of study changed, but my routine life didn't change at all. But when I moved to Poland, to Warsaw, when I started to live in alone, seriously, my life changed so much, and it was really hard. But right now, I understand that freedom and that just student life is super cool experience and super fun experience, and I for 100% enjoying my life right now, because I understand that I'm 18 years old, I can do whatever I want to do, and society is not expecting from me something really important, something really, I would say, I don't know, strong position, so I can do whatever I want and at the same time study.
But higher education, one of the minuses is that it costs a hell of a lot of money. Do you think it's worth it? Because, for example, in the United States, you pay $50,000 for studying.
It's crazy.
It's 1 year of studies.
It's crazy.
You can win a scholarship.
But it's really,
but it's
really
not
hard.
for everyone.
Yeah, I would say how many? 10% of all the students win scholarship, or even less. It's really hard. Well, I would say that it really depends on university, because I want to tell a story of my best friend Amina. She's from Ukraine, but right now she's studying in Canada, in Toronto. And her biggest dream was to apply to Waterloo University. Is one of the most, it's in top 10 universities in the world in the field of engineer and biological studies, and it's really cool university. So all these top universities, after graduation they give you core programs. So it's actually practice with paid internship. So I would say that it really worth it, because as practice shows, after graduation you for free can manage to earn all of that money that you put in your education by your internship and by your work. So she applied to that university, and she pays her bachelor is 5 years long, and she is paying $30,000 per year. It's crazy.
But it will pay off.
yeah, but like because she has co-op program, so like she will get 2 year internship after her graduation. um I would say like she told me 70% of her studies will be like covered by that internship because she's studying chemistry, biology, and economics. So of course we all know that that field of studies, they are really important and they are well paid. But of course, my situation and Diane's situation, we are studying journalism, and of course nowadays journalist is not the most high paid profession, and it really depends on a person, because for one type of person it can give you like so many benefits and so many cool experience, and mates and friends and just network chances, and for another type of persons it just give you nothing. So yeah, I hope education will help me. And what about you guys? What do you think? Do you think that your education worth it?
I think if you really, really want to study, you will find a way, and like money or distance won't be a problem. I think it's a problem. It's more a question of choice, whether you want to study or you want to live for yourself and work and etc.
I think that people should choose their higher education depending on which thing they like, because if everyone chose something that they like as their higher education, they would gain so much more. They would gain experience, they would gain happiness, friends with the same interest. For example, if I want to be a journalist, I would never go to become a lawyer because it just would be boring for me and extremely tiring.
Yeah.
So I think that it's really important to choose what you like in this life, and it's not only about higher education, actually.
And
about
it's
everything.
also really important to get support from your family and from your parents, because not every parents really trust their child and really believe in their child. Because, for example, when I was applying to college in Ukraine, I from the start didn't want to be a lawyer, but because my parents told me to be a lawyer, I had to go there. And it's I would not say that it's hard for me to study in college, but it's so not interesting, and that's why I decided to go to Collegium Civitas to apply for journalism, because I'm really interested in that program, and I'm really thankful for my parents that they support me. But I know so many people who have to study, for example, in management and economics, but they're not interested in that spheres at all. So that's why, because of that, nowadays in Eastern Europe, we have so big percentage of people who, after graduation from university, don't work by their specialization. They work in totally different spheres. So yeah, I think it's really important to get support from your friends and family.
But we're talking about only advantages. What's the most tiring thing about being a student? What exhausts you the most?
Session week.
Session week.
Yeah.
But it's like there is a saying that the student lives from session to session, and basically during the
true.
break they do nothing.
Yes. Totally.
And do you think it's necessary for everyone to have higher education?
No, I don't think so.
Who doesn't have to have it?
People who don't want to do that, because
Like professions, I mean. For example, if you want to be a doctor, I think you have to have higher education.
Of course,
Like a
and
teacher.
architecture and engineer and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But like teacher, it also really depends on subject.
I mean,
that-
professor at university. Of course, you can be tutoring without. I tutor right now, and I don't have even higher
But
education.
like the biggest part of our teachers in our university, they're not like really teachers.
But they have higher education still.
They do, but they're not certainly teachers.
Then
just
their
have an
major was not
experience.
pedagogics, okay, but they still have higher education. Do you think that a person without higher education can be a professor at university?
Yes. For example, in our university, like right now, I would say all of my teachers are practical journalists, and most of them, they have higher education, but for example, they don't have education in journalism, or they don't have education in pedagogic, you know?
Yes, but
yeah.
that's what I'm asking about. But they still have higher education. Which professions, in your opinion, do not require? For example, for me, it's like hairdresser,
Art teacher.
art teacher.
Yeah. Why not?
Maybe journalist. I would
Journalist
say,
doesn't
yeah.
have to have. Then why did you choose it?
Because I'm just interested in that, and because I would clearly say that I wanted to experience that student life, but I'm sure for 100% that if you are a really talented person and if you are a really talkative and friendly person and you have a lot of mates, it wouldn't be a problem for you to become a journalist, especially because of social media nowadays. Like, as all our teachers are saying, nowadays everyone can be journalist. It's all about talent. It's not about, higher education. Well, I would say that, for example, bloggers, they don't.
That is not actually a profession.
I would say that nowadays it's really
okay, they
professional.
gain money because of their bloggers, but still, I'm talking about more serious professions. Which, like, you work every day, you wake up, you go to work. Like, journalists do that as well.
It's really hard because I would say it also depends on person, because there are so many people who go to university and, for example, they choose specific field of study not because they wanna become that person and because they wanna gain that profession. Just they go to university because they don't know what to do after school.
True.
So like you are 18, 17 years old and you actually don't know what to do in next 4 or 5 years. So that's why their parents and they themselves decide to go to university. But for example, if you are a really ambitious young person and you are really friendly, you have enough mates, and for example you already worked somewhere and you have experience, and what is the most important, you have abilities to study a specific type of information by yourself. Why you have to go to university? If you have specific plan for your life, if you know what you have to do, like it's not a problem. Just learn, for example, marketing skills by yourself, and after that try to firstly gain internship and after that gain job without specific education.
And by the way, we always have gap years. What do you think about it? Because, for example, in Eastern Europe, they're still not popular. But in Western Europe, I think it's a great opportunity because people do not want to go from desk to desk. So basically, they just take a gap year, they travel, they work, they gain experience, find mates all over the world. What do you think? I think it's great.
I find that really good. Unfortunately, my parents would not allow me to take gap year.
And I think, like, for our mentality, I don't think our, like, children are ready because, like, we start learning at the young age, like 6, 7, and we finish school at the young age. And still people are not ready to make a decision. And I think it's more like a bad thing for us.
Yeah, I would say that
Ukraine, Russia.
yeah, that really big problem because I personally didn't like school. I can say that clearly, but maybe it's quite a big problem that we are graduating from high school in 17 years old, 16, 17 years old. I would say that that is really, really young age, especially I would say for higher education and gap year, because it's really hard for such a young, I would say even child, to understand what he or she wants to do. And even if she or he, this person, doesn't want it to, like go to university, this person even don't know what to do in gap year, you know. So I would say that maybe school has to be a little bit longer, and in our schools we have to get more practical information, proper orientation information, just to understand not specific profession, what we want to work at and what we want to do, but just like feel of study, feel of just feel of study what we're interested in, you know.
But fortunately, we're all students. We all entered the university, and I want to ask you, what's the funniest story that happened to you as a student? Because we're all freshmen, and freshmen are associated with funny stories. So
Oh my god, Dan, you are scared.
I can start
so
if you want.
complicated questions.
Yeah, because I love them. I can start, for example, when I came to Warsaw, my first day was a failure because, first of all, I lost all my documents. Like passport, my 2 passports, I lost my insurance, I lost my acceptance to university, like basically everything. And I wasn't sure whether I was going to go to university the next day. And the next day, I found all my documents. Like some guy found my documents and he returned it to me. But when I was getting my documents back, I was fined in the subway. So I had to pay 164 zloty. So it was a failure. And 2 weeks later, I nearly broke a leg. So, I mean, the first 2 weeks in Warsaw were failures, actually. What are your stories?
Well, actually it's not my first year in university, like in this university, yes, but last year I was also studying international relations in another university, and of course this year everything was much easier. But previous year, everything, like first month, just was total crap. Everything was so bad because I had to live in dormitory. I even cannot describe how bad it was because it was like 1 hour and 30 minutes from my university. I had to like take 3 type of public transport to get to my university, and like that was so uncomfortable. I had so disgusting mates, like my roommates. I really, like, I didn't know what to do. So I would not say that that is funny story. That is actually sad
It is
story.
actually.
Yeah, but I by myself in 17 years old found without knowing anything in Polish, I found a room in another part of the city, and because I didn't have money for a taxi, like in one day I came back to my dormitory and back to my new room like 5 times without huge luggages. I thought I would die. It was like only I didn't have such an experience at all. Like I thought I would die when I was moving to another, room. And I just remember that my roommates, they were so bad and so ugly and disgusting. But they asked me like, "Oh my God, maybe we can give you money for a taxi because you look like you wanna die right now." But I was so mad at them that I was like, "No, I don't want to take your money. I will do everything by myself." Like that was really. Right now it's funny, but I wanted to die actually. Yeah, so, and there's so many stories, but it's really hard to remember all of them because actually funny stories are happening every day in my life.
True though. And Corinne, what about you?
I've had the same story with moving from the dormitory.
Because we lived in one dormitory,
yeah,
in
the same dorm,
dormitory.
yeah. But I would like to say that my dorm was like fun. Like it was like the best 2 weeks in my life
Lucky
in
you.
Warsaw. But the most like outstanding story I would like to say was like a few weeks ago. It was with a teacher. Like I won't say names, but we were on a break, and my friend, like, she opened the window and she broke it. Then our tutor, he came to the break as well, and he tried to fix it, and he broke it like even more. And then we noticed that it's like actually it's time to move to the lecture, and he said like, "Okay, we won't tell everybody, we won't tell anybody. This window was already broken. Okay, let's go." And it was like wow, like a tutor can do so. It was like the most funny.
But surviving all of these challenges, have you ever regretted entering the university?
Last year I would say yes, but right now I would say no.
Why?
because-
Why last year? Years because of the dormitory, or because of the
No,
uni?
because of like general specialization, international relations. Like I really love politics, but I understood that I just love talking about politics, not work in that sphere, And I was so depressed, and I was every time thinking, "Oh my God, like why I came here? It's so boring, and I just spent money for nothing. I didn't learn anything because it's just not interesting for me." But right now, because I love my university for 100%, I would say that I'm not regretting it all. And what about you?
I don't regret as well. I don't know. I didn't have like such a down moment. It was like fun.
Have you ever missed school?
No.
Never.
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 No, I missed just like situation when we're skipping classes with my friends and just
you
like
don't skip them in uni.
Don't
well,
lie to anybody.
yeah, well, because like in university it's because in school if you skip classes, like in my school, for example, like, yeah, you can skip whatever you want. You just have to bring medical, blank that why you was absent. But like in university, it's not useful for you skip those classes because as a result, you will just get much like worse mark, So that's why yeah, of course I skip sometimes, but not because like I want to, because I have to. But in school it was just really fun, and I would love to, come back for 3 days, not more. But yeah, I love university and even college in Ukraine much better than school.
Actually, yes. Here you don't want to skip classes because they're interesting. Like in Ukraine, you won't hear like the phrase "I want to go to university,"
Yeah.
and here it's like a daily basis. People want to go to university because it's.
But I think it's because of you here you have lots of practical experience, and in Ukraine at school you have all of this theory which nobody likes, like math, geography,
But
economics.
it also depends on class and subject.
Yeah, true, but I mean we do not have deep specialization at schools, which irritates the majority of students.
Yeah.
And which tendency will we have in the future, in your opinion? Will people be more prone to get higher education, or will they just be getting a job right after school?
I would say, in my opinion, already now there is much less people who feel obligatory to go to university, because, for example, we have so many different online courses, online schools, and just in general different courses, language courses, specific field of study courses, and just because also we have a tendency to like specializations that are more practical. They nowadays are getting more popular because just we already have a lot of millions of people with higher education. So that's why in Ukraine right now, if person really wanna get money, it's much easier for him to, for example, work, I don't know, in the building, how it's called, like build, for example, a house for someone, than work as a economic manager. So I would say that I think education should be only for those people who really want to get it, not for everyone.
And what would you choose in uni for it to become perfect for you? Like 3 things that you would choose in uni. For example, no session, I don't know. A more practical experience.
I don't get the question.
What would you change in the university system? Maybe in Ukrainian one.
I would say, yeah, first of all is, of course, practical information, practice at all. Also, it would be so nice if after university at least best students would get a practical paid internship. And also, it would be really nice if just student life would be much more interesting. And I'm not talking about, all of that post-Soviet competitions like Princess of the University, Miss University and all that stuff, but just at least different parties for students, different like maybe events, interesting events. That would be really nice. But in this university, in Collegium Civitas, I seriously would not change anything because I enjoy everything, even session, because like in session I at least started thinking about something. But in Ukraine there are so many things that we have to change, so it's even hard to describe them, to start and describe them like in 3 main, things.
Yeah, because I like this tendency that the westerner you go, the more relaxing education is. Like you have lots of free time, you can work during this free time, you can have internships, and at the same time you study. In Ukraine, I would say that everything is so stressful. People are really freaking out when they hear the word session and university. And basically here I wake up every day at 5 a.m. and I love it because I go to university that I love. And for example, in Ukraine,
Civitas best university.
Go
here, guys.
But that's true. And people in Ukraine go to university for like 10 a.m. and they still hate it because all they do is they read the books.
Oh my god, my best favorite day is Thursday when I have classes at 13:15. My best day. Like I hate waking up at 8 a.m.
I wake up at 5.
I cannot understand how you do that. I cannot understand that.
Because I live far away. I wouldn't say far away, but I still have to cook breakfast.
Like 300 kilometers from Warsaw.
No, it's like 20 minutes. It's like it's like 20 minutes from university, but I have to cook something for the day and I have to drink coffee, and I'm so lazy that I don't want to hurry.
I understand.
Basically. And what's your favorite subject in university?
Oh. Economics. Yes.
Economics.
Yes.
Oh
I
my
suck
God.
at economics, but
You
I
are a
like
robot.
it. Yeah.
My
It's
favorite
really
is
interesting.
history of European art because I love art, and
And
I
I
love
love
the
money.
our teacher because she's really like interesting, and it's really interesting just to listen to her.
And would you like your children to have higher education?
I'm totally fine if they would say to me, I don't want to get higher education. I would just say to them like, okay, you can. If I would be rich, I would say to them, you can travel around the world and all
Find
that stuff.
yourself,
Find
yeah.
yourself. Just take a gap for like 3 years or something like that, and after that, just decide if you
Or 5 or 30, whatever you like.
like and if when they will be like 35 years old, they would just say to me, sorry, I'm just like having gap year a little bit, but maybe I'm thinking about going to university in the future. It's really nice that like in Western world, it's totally fine when person is 35 years old and he is still a student, because like for me, when I first heard about that, it was so weird. Like I could not understand how it's like even possible.
Really?
Yeah, because like I immediately started to imagine myself, and like I cannot imagine myself like in 35 years old studying with 70
Mhm.
and 18 years old students. But like
Because my parents got their second degree in their 40s. So
mine too. My mother
Yeah.
also got her second degree in 35, but she did part time, so it's not like full time. You're not spending whole your time in university. So yeah, but right now I understand that that's totally fine. And if you feel that you wanna change your field of study, your field of job, it's totally fine to just get new education.
And what do you think about people who get the second or the third higher education? Because I find it extremely difficult. I respect these people so much. Would you like to get the second higher education?
Yes.
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 Which one?
Finance, probably.
So you would like to study 3 more years or even 4?
Yes, I like money. I want to.
Right after the first one?
Everyone
Right after
loves
the first
money.
one?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I would like work. I would say 2 or 3 years old. It's like perfect for me. But I wanna get my master degree in another field of study, maybe like in PR or in art or something like that. And like if I would work, for example, in journalism, and I would understand that I don't really enjoy that, it would be totally fine for me just to once again do another master and just change my field of study.
Okay, guys, so today we talked about higher education and its pros and cons as always. And I hope we see you in our next episode. Kisses and stay tuned.